G'day people, just holidaying here on the beautiful island of Gari in Queensland, and yeah, we did have a bit of an incident last night. On Friday the 17th of May 2024, Monya and I arrived on Gari via Inskip Point. We travelled up the beach before turning inland, then we travelled across the island to get to our campsite, which was on the west coast, Ungawa campsite. We were the only ones at the campsite, so we chose the best spot and set up our camp. On Saturday the 18th of May, we spent the day exploring the island and didn't return to our campsite until around 6 p.m. This is when we saw a vehicle parked close to our tent site, and we're thinking to each other, what's this guy doing? We get out of the car and start carrying things across to our camp, and I did this trip on several occasions. There was a man on his own with the vehicle, and this is when I realized that he had items on our picnic table. So I said to the guy, "Hey mate, did you not see that our tent was here? We are using this campsite." The man walks up to me aggressively, like he's 10 men, and says, "What do you think? This is your own personal table?" I replied, "Yes, this is our spot. You see our tent here. We've been here since last night." He's like, "I don't give a shit, asshole. I booked this site. I was supposed to be here last night. If you don't like it, call the fucking ranger."
I was here in the tent. I just said to him, look how many tables there are. You could choose just another table. He say, "Get fucked," to me. He say, "Call the ranger if you're not happy," something like that. I say, "No, I'm not called the ranger. It's a common sense." He say, "Fuck you," start to insult us very heavily. Very heavy. He was very aggressive. His eyes was very bad.
We just ignored the guy, cooked our food, then sat at the table to eat. A little bit of background to the story. Back in the year 2000, I had a serious motorcycle accident and suffered a traumatic brain injury, similar to a stroke. So this caused paralysis, weakness to the right hand side of my body. The effects of this accident are still with me to this day. Now, what I've learnt in the subsequent years is that some men, scumbag bullies, when they recognize this paralysis or weakness, they try to take advantage. This jerk has recognized the weakness when I was pulling stuff out of the car. Now he thinks he's a gangster, 10 men, and wants to take liberties.
We was here by self couple looking just for peaceful. We not have any record. We never had the fight. We don't like trouble. This one make trouble for us. Yeah. So
we kept an eye on this guy because he was pacing around his vehicle, drinking beer, smoking his vape. He would go to the back of his vehicle, do something undercover, then come marching out, staring at us, puffing away on his vape. Now, I've been around the block a few times, and I know that icehead junkies use vapes as a masking agent because the smoke looks very similar. So next time that he went to the back of his vehicle, I snuck down beside the tent, peered around the corner, and sure enough, he's there with the glass barbecue. After dinner, we left the table and went to sit beside the ocean, which was about 30 meters away. At this point, our icehead junkie friend went to the table and started cooking and eating. He was also playing music from a speaker at a loud level. He was playing the music loudly just to annoy us because he only had 5 songs on his playlist and kept playing them over and over. Monya and I just relaxed beside the ocean, smoked a joint, and tried to ignore this douchebag. At 9:45, we had enough and we wanted to go to bed. So we both approached the table and I asked the man to turn the music down. He just looked at me with a stupid grin on his face and ignored me for 30 seconds. After 30 seconds and repeating this request 3 times, he finally turned the sound down. I said to him, "It's 9:45. We want to go to bed. Turn the music off." His reply was, "Don't tell me what to do. This is a public area. I can do what I want, so F off." I said, "There are signs everywhere saying no noise after 9 p.m. It's now 9:45. He's like, "I don't give a shit. I do what I want. If you don't like it, call the ranger." This guy had been drinking all afternoon and was about 10 beers deep at this stage and getting more aggressive. I just looked at him with disdain and said, "Why are you being a see you next Tuesday?" The douchebag's eyes went crazy. He stood up and said, "F you," and started throwing punches. He connected with my head a couple of times, but then that little voice in my head started screaming at me, "Hey, you're in a fight. Watch his hands." I was able to dodge a couple of punches, then got him with a beautiful left-hand jab. Oh, it was sweet. Got him right in the face. Boom. So, what did the douchebag do next? He turned and ran. This piece of shit maybe had a plan in his head. I'll bash this cripple, then rape his wife. Remember what Mike said. Everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face. Now, I'm a pretty peaceful person. A simple person, actually. You could measure my aggression using a digital scale. Either 0 or 1. 0 being peaceful, don't cause any trouble. But if you flick that switch to 1, I go to kill mode. When this douchebag threw those punches, he flicked the switch, launched the nukes. There was no turning back. He was like Maxine, had to run for his life. I chased this jerk, caught him, then opened up a 44-gallon drum of Bruce Lee on his ass.
You can see what happened. So he just punch and just punch and then start to wrestle, I don't know this word. And we arrived him here. He bring him in the ground and start to punch like that on Joseph. I get scared.
Yeah, this prick took me down, but even Bruce Lee got taken down occasionally. But I had a secret weapon, Monya. She's a tiger.
So I jump on him. I try to with the arm to take off his body from Joseph, but him start to kick me with the leg and with the elbow kick, and then he rise up and I fall down on the floor. He was starting on top of me. It was nearly to punch. In this moment I had the flash. I see completely my face is smashed. So I start to screaming because he was like that on me. This is my face. He was like that. I saw him like that. I screaming. Joseph wake up from where he was. He grabbed his arm. I was free to run away, and I don't know why they start to fight again.
A cut opened up above his eye and blood was pouring out, covering his face. Luckily for him, the sight of all this blood flicked my switch back to 0. I said, "Hey buddy, you're bleeding pretty bad there. I think you should get that looked at by a doctor." When the douchebag saw all the blood and realized it was his, there was no crazy look in his eyes, it was fear. We let go of each other. Then he returned to his vehicle and locked himself inside.
The impression that we have straight away since begin that he act as bully, aggressive, but then have a plan on his head to play the victim, because as soon as everything's finished, he calls straight away and with a voice, I have been attacked from 2 people for a couple. I have been attacked. Then he sit all the time until the police didn't come in his car to pretend, with the obviously music off, everything peaceful, and pretend that we was the bad guy. We start everything, and we was the guy that attacked him when it was completely opposite, you know?
At about midnight, the police and an ambulance arrived. The cop went over to the jerk and got his version of the story firstly. It must have been a fanciful tale that he was telling, because the cop was there with him for quite a while. In the meantime, the ambulance officers came over to Monya and I and had a look at our injuries, and we told them the story of what had happened. When the cop did eventually come over and start talking to us, he wasn't interested in hearing our side of the story. He kept saying, "Can you fast forward? Fast forward?" And he wasn't even looking at me while I was talking to him. I said, "You're not even listening to me." His reply was, "You should hear the other guy's story." Exasperated, I said, "He threw the first punch." And the cop was like, "Yep, that's all I wanted to hear." So now the cop goes, "Because there are conflicting reports and the fact that he's very drunk, you guys are going to have to pack up and go somewhere else." I was about to lose it. Luckily, one of the ambulance guys was there, and he's like, "Nah, the other guy has got concussion, so we'll be taking him with us, so this couple, they can stay here." There is no way in hell that I was going to leave. We were there first. I was attacked by a drunk, ice-head, junkie dog. Then we have to leave? No chance. Stupid bloody cop. It wasn't his finest hour. In fact, his actions were shameful. And guess what? When we went to the police station to report the matter, there was no body cam footage. The body cam had failed, apparently. I reckon the stupid cop trying to cover his ass. But wait, there is still one more twist in the story. Now, I was born in Melbourne and grew up at the MCG. I was there when Silvani took that mark.
Play by Peter Dacos is kicked to half forward. Starcevic. Oh, Silvani!
I was there when Steve Waugh took that catch.
That's it. It's high. It's miles in the air. Hughes is coming around, and so it's away. That's the greatest catch. Oh, unbelievable, Stephen Waugh.
The MCG is in my DNA, and there we have a special way to send you off if you've messed up. Yes, that's right. As I loading this douchebag into the back of the ambulance, I sang him the song.
You're going home in the back of an ambulance. You're going home in the back of an ambulance. Yeah. So, moral of the story is, be careful who you try to bully, because Bruce Lee can be anywhere, lurking, ready to come out and kick your ass.
So, the final conclusion. For all those douchebags out there, be careful. There is a good chance an MCG patron is not far away. We don't take shit. We'll be ready to give you a correction and then sing that song as you're taken away. So be careful, scumbags.